Welcome to the Week 15 Fantasy Football Playoffs live stream. I'm Jim Coventry of RotoWire. If you want to get a free look at RotoWire, 2 days, no credit card needed. You can check out our rankings, articles, get ready for kickoff. Go to rotowire.com/Jim, get you all checked out there. A few notes before we get into these start sits today. Look, it's a fantasy playoffs. Your good decisions got you where you were. I'll definitely give you insight into each player. I'll tell you my take on each of them. I'll give you upside and downside cases, any injuries that relate to those players. It helps you make your best decision. You've been great all year. Keep that going. A couple other notes. The Chiefs and Browns game yesterday, it looked like it was a pretty bad weather forecast. The most recent forecast I got is 17-mile-an-hour winds. Normally 15 is like the threshold. We start looking at it, but Winston and Mahomes are strong-arm quarterbacks, so I don't think 17 miles an hour is an issue. They will have gusts at times up to 29. The rain is going to be less than half an inch, so it's not going to be hard rain. So I don't see that being a major issue in that game. I don't think the rain, based on the forecast I'm seeing, won't be anything close to what we saw in the first half of that Rams 49ers game, because everybody's going to be freaked out by that. If you had like Purdy or Cup going and, you're be really behind, consider if you have an upside play over a floor play as a potential opportunity. All right, let's get to the questions here today. As usual, the super chat's your way to skip the line. If I see it shows up as a small number in the corner of my screen. When I see it, I click it on. So hopefully I see those quickly, but as soon as I do click those on. All right, let's get rolling here. Scott asks, Bucky Irving or Ramondre Stevenson? So Bucky Irving, here's the deal. And I'll have a lot of Bucky Irving questions today. So here was what I heard. Last week, his back locked up, and he was done for the day. And Coach Bowles said pretty simply that, well, if his back is good, meaning we don't anticipate it locking up, we'll play him as normal. So that's what I'm expecting here. He's going to be active, which means they believe his back, maybe spasms. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, not in the house, but it seems like Irving is in his normal situation. Stevens is playing Arizona. Arizona's actually, although they're talent deficient, they're a good run defense. And I do think Arizona has a good chance of playing with a lead. They're like 6-point favorites in this game. So I think game script probably leads to Bucky Irving getting a little more work and being a little more effective. And Stevenson, again, he needs game script going his way. And I don't know how much scoring they're going to do. Arizona's had a rough stretch schedule. So I'm going to go with Bucky Irving there. All right, let's get rolling here. All right. It's weird. I don't see anything like with super chat. All right, let me see. I'll try to figure that out. Usually I have one in there by now, but I don't. All right, Daniel A. Sit one. AJ Brown, Higgins, Charbonnet, or Cook. So look, the narrative on AJ Brown is that he complained, and it's possible he gets targets this week. Pittsburgh, if he does get targets, Pittsburgh would be in trouble. They don't have corners to deal with him. The only thing you'd worry about is Joey Porter just holding him and getting a flag, and then you're not getting any fantasy points for it. To me, Higgins and Charbonnet are in. They're in. Higgins didn't get a great target volume, but he usually does. Charbonnet's going to get a ton of work. Those two are in. It's between Cook and Brown. And Cook doesn't always get a lot of touches. His matchup against Detroit in the screen game is good. But I imagine he has that game where he could get 9 carries, and we see those games. So I would probably be inclined to play A.J. Brown over Cook, because I do think the narrative is going to have a little bit of teeth to it, even if that means 8 targets instead of the 4 to 6 he's been getting. I would tend to go that route. And regardless, Brown should have a decent floor. So that's the way I would sit Cook in that group. All right, let's see here. Good morning to you, M. You need one of these 4 for your flex. Najee, Mooney, Jacoby Myers. There we go. It must mean that. Marvin Harrison. So Philly, in theory, is a tough run game matchup, but I fully expect with no George Pickens, we're going to see a lot of 3 tight end sets today. I think Arthur Smith is going to. They have no way to probably pass the ball against this team. So I think ultimately we're going to see that Najee is going to have a decent day. I think Najee has a very high floor, and when he has a chance of scoring a touchdown, which is a realistic chance. Even if Ritter plays, I have to think Jacoby Myers has a high floor as well. I still think based on, let's see if O'Connell starts. We don't know because it's a Monday night game. So I would just put Harris above Myers because of the uncertainty. Ritter would lower that. If you need to swing for the fence, Mooney could have a game. The Raiders are down Ja'Cory Bennett, the right corner. He doesn't go in the slot a lot. So Nate Hobbs hasn't played in 4 weeks, but I don't know if he's playing. Max Crosby's out. That means no pass rush. It means that really no pass rush at all, which means if Cousins wants to go downfield, he can. So I think your boom bust play is Mooney. I think your floor play is Harris. And from there, I would decide what you think if you want to go floor or if you want to go boom bust, because they might not need Mooney. They could get out to a lead in this one, and then they may not have to lean on him. So he's boom bust. Jeff, good morning to you as well. 5 of 6 playoffs with 2 bye. Oh, yeah, good. That's very good. Very good. Very good. Winston or Mahomes? I'd have to go Winston here. Winston, other than the Snow Bowl game against Pittsburgh, he throws at least 42 passes a game. Kansas City has not been able to stop anybody through the air, including Carolina, including the Raiders. Teams just annihilate them. Trent McDuffie's playing at an adequate level, but he's not playing great. And since they lost Jalen Watson, the corner room has been a mess. And this goes back to last year when Flacco was playing for Cleveland. Flacco was throwing 42 passes a game. So that volume, that puts him ahead for me. So that's, and then Otten or Ferguson. I got to go Ferguson here. Ferguson has a great matchup. Otten has seen his targets go way down since the return of Mike Evans. And it's not like Ferguson's been getting targeted through the roof, but I think in this game specifically with very little pass rush, I think they're going to be able to pepper the middle of the field. So I'm going to go with that. And then you got Bigsby, Myers, or A.J. Brown. So, look, there's always uncertainty with Bigsby. Bigsby can lay an egg at any point. Nothing worrisome about his matchup. The Jets are not great against the run, but volume is always a question, is how much he's going to get. Jacoby, I can't play Myers over Brown because I'm not sure if Ritter's playing. That's a problem. So I'm going to give A.J. Brown the world there because I think his floor should be at least decent here. But I think if Ritter plays, I think that might minimize Myers enough to move him out. If we knew for sure O'Connell was playing, I would say Myers is the best floor of the group for sure. Mooney or Reed? Reed had a goose egg last week. He's got a lot of 4 and 3 target games. They keep saying they're going to get him the ball. Mooney does have some 2 for 20s in his rear view mirror not too long ago, but those 2 for 20s are better than 0 for 0. Honestly, I would play Mooney. Again, with Max Crosby out, I think that's a big deal. So crazy as it sounds, Reed is 20 times better player. But I can't even scream upside for Reed because I haven't seen it. He had 2 touchdowns in one game, but he didn't even hit 20 fantasy points. So there's that. So I would probably go with Mooney. I can't project targets for Reed. Just can't do it. And Jeff, I talked about the weather. The weather is not what we thought it was. And even though you saw it at 8:02 when you posted, or 9:00, when you posted your thing, the weather, that wasn't oppressive weather. Yesterday it was. Yesterday it was like 25 mile an hour base winds would gust up to 40. That got way knocked down. Although to your question, you can probably play Cousins this week because the Max Crosby thing's a massive deal. Ja'Cory Bennett's an IR. We don't know if Nate Hobbs is playing their slot corner, but I don't even know that matters because Drake London plays 41% of the snaps in the slot. So I think Cousins would be a reasonable play over them. Winston, again, is going to get a ton of volume. So there's that. Richardson or Love? Oh, man, that's a tough one, right? Jordan Love has been very, very problematic when pressured this year in Seattle. Has really become a good pressure team in the last month. Richardson, Denver's not a great matchup. My guess is that Richardson against a smaller front could break some tackles if he runs. I would probably be inclined to say Richardson has a higher floor. If the game between Seattle and Green Bay somehow gets into a shootout, then Love potentially has more upside. But I think Richardson has a higher floor. Love is dangerous, but I do think there is potential, again, if this game shoots out. So all said, I would be inclined to trust Love because I don't think Richardson has a ceiling here. And there's going to be wind in Denver, and it's going to be heavier wind. I think it's closer to 18, 20, and that's enough for a bad, inaccurate quarterback to be a problem. So I would probably go with Love there. All right, I got a super chat question. I'll come back to Julian. All right, I got Andrew. Standard, pick 2. Oh, I wish I knew which Wilson you meant. I'm going to assume you mean Garrett Wilson. Flowers or Brian Thomas Jr. You got to pick 2. The boom bust is Flowers because they may not need him. The Giants are up Dexter Lawrence. They literally, if they want, they could run the ball all day long, and I don't think the Giants could stop them. I don't think they have any answer at all. But on the other hand, coming out of the bye, if they want to work on their passing game, Giants are now 2 corners, and their third one is hurt. So if they choose to pass, Flowers could go bonkers. But the problem is I don't know if they're going to pass. So if you need huge upside, I'm playing Flowers over Thomas. Well, Thomas, I'm going to say, let me go with that and then move laterally. Brian Thomas Jr. has a high floor. He always gets the ball. Quarterback's terrible. Doesn't matter. Sauce Gardner isn't playing at the level he did. He doesn't travel. So when Thomas flips sides, DJ Reed and his backup, Brandon Eccles, are out. So Thomas has a really great matchup. I think it's a lower scoring game. Wilson's in the same boat, though. There may not be a lot of passing in this game. It could be super low scoring. So Wilson and Thomas are really the same player, but who has more upside of the two? It's probably Wilson, and Thomas is a little bit higher of a floor. So you're in a quagmire here because if you want the safest plays, it's Wilson and Thomas. If you want a blend of floor and upside, to me, it's going to be Flowers and Thomas. That'd be the way I would go with that. Wilson would probably end up being the odd man out for that reason because, again, if they don't have to throw the ball, they probably won't. Devontae Adams get a lot of targets. All right, see where we left off here. We left off with, man, this other thing always bounces me around a bit here. Let me see. All right, we answered John already. We answered Jeff already. We answered, all right, Julian, where I'm. All right, need to start 3 receivers. McLaurin, A.J. Brown, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Adam Thielen. So here's what I'll tell you for this. I'm playing Smith and Jigba. The slot corner for Green Bay is down. That's a huge deal. And I'm playing Thielen. Dallas is DeMarvion Overshown not playing hurts their pass rush, right? So Thielen's been very, very high floor. So I'm going to go with them both. They both have ceiling. And for the other one, McLaurin has a higher floor than Brown. The narrative is that A.J. Brown's going to get targets here. And if you believe in the narrative, then Brown has real upside, which would go over McLaurin. So if you want to go for the highest upside, but risk that 4-target game if they decide to run it all day, so I don't think they will. McLaurin to be safe, I would be inclined to start Brown because I do think he gets a couple more targets, and Pittsburgh they don't have the personnel to deal with him. Got another super chat, and then I'll come back to Joseph. Got 2 super chats. All right, JKM83. Hello, happy fantasy playoffs to you as well. Full PR. You started Purdy and Jennings, so you need upside. Yeah. All right. So Jameson Williams is definitely your upside play here. The game could flirt with 60 points, so you definitely want to look there. And I don't think Marvin Harrison Jr. is a lot of upside here. I don't think it's a higher scoring game. I don't think they're going to have to air it out a ton. And then it's between Hopkins and Reed. And Reed sees Hopkins sees a lot of underneath stuff. And where you really crush Cleveland is where they blow coverages deep. So for upside, and now you just heard me talk about Reed a minute ago, but I think Reed has more upside than Hopkins here. Clearly Hopkins has the better floor than Reed, way better. So but you don't want to just necessarily just swing for so much upside and miss the floor because you could still win your game. So if it's my lineup, I'd blend the two. I would probably start Jameson Williams and Hopkins. But if you want pure upside, it would be Jameson Williams and Jaden Reed. That'd be pure upside. All right, a couple more super chats here. John, more than you as well. You need one of 2. You need 1. Gus Edwards, Keon Coleman, Jalen McMillan, Calvin Austin. Calvin Austin is probably in a bad spot. Fangio's defense they tend not to give up big plays, and Austin's limited and what he could do in terms of targets. And I think that defense suppresses that, and he doesn't match up well with any of the corners. McMillan, I think that was a one-off. The Chargers are a very disciplined defense. It doesn't really, you have to be like a superstar to really get them because they play so disciplined in their zone. And I don't see McMillan getting coverage busts here. Between Keon Coleman and Gus Edwards. So Keon Coleman, we haven't seen him in almost a month. Now, the opportunity that game shooting out is very real. We don't know what his target share is going to be because Cooper probably is fully healthy from the wrist now. Gus Edwards has a floor. Tampa is good against the run. So I would say, though, the only guy with a somewhat floor here that you could count on is Gus Edwards. If you have to swing for the fence and you need potential upside, Coleman could have a game because the pass rush isn't getting to Josh Allen here. Even if they blitz, it's not getting to him. And they play man a lot. And Coleman, big body, and Allen does very well against the blitz. So he'd have the upside potential for you. But the floor play is Gus Edwards. All right. 2 more super chat questions here. OG Bobby. All right. You started Garendo Cup. Oh, man. Yeah, I know. Garendo got you something at least, right? Your opponent started Kittle and Moody. All right, so you're kind of the same. But Moody outscored them all, didn't he? Except for Garendo. You need upside. Mahomes, Tua, Winston, or Caleb. If you are going for upside here, I am going with Tua. Because Houston is very good against the run. Miami does not have a sustaining rushing attack. Teron Armstead's probably out. You think about the pass rush for Houston, but the problem is Tua gets it out so quickly. And here's the other thing. The Texans have been horrible against crossing routes this year. That's usually what Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle run a lot of. And I think that's a stylistic matchup where Tua could spam that, and I don't think the Texans would have an answer for it. So I think upside, Tua could have a massive game here. Like all the other options, but I think Tua has the most upside here. And he has a great floor, too. Again, they don't run the ball well at all. DMP24, more than you as well. Best PPR flex between Thielen, Tracy, and Cooper. Cooper would seem to be the wild card out there. He had 14 targets last week. And I would think in this matchup with Detroit playing all that man coverage, Cooper is way better than any of those corners. Josh Allen clearly trusts him. There's a lot of targets he has. But if this game shoots out, Cooper is your big upside play. But there are games and again, I don't know if it's the wrist, which it was problematic for a while, but we've seen him games at low targets, and we can't really quantify that. Thielen has the highest floor. Thielen is going to probably get double-digit targets, going to probably catch most of them, has a decent chance to score. Dallas gets less pass rush with DeMarvion Overshown out, and that offensive line is very good. Tracy's kind of the odd man out. He's been catching passes, which has helped. Baltimore is a tough matchup for him. So I would say, your floor plays Thielen. If you want to go for upside, Cooper could have a game here. But again, there's a lot of people in the passing attack. So that's why I'd handicap that one. All right, see where we're at here. Make sure I got all the super chat. Yep, definitely got them all. So we're good here. All right, where are we at here now? Just knocked me down. All right, here we go. Here we go. Oh, Joseph, I don't do kickers. Kickers are all luck. I've got none. I only got a talent breakdown of skills. I can't do kickers. Trust your gut on a kicker, but I can't do kickers. I get them wrong every time. I don't even play with kickers leagues anymore. So I'm forced to. Master J3, good morning. Neighbors or Breece Hall? I'd be inclined to go with Hall. It was supposedly knee soreness. That was the issue. Full practice on Friday, and there was never reported any structural issue with it. So I'd be inclined to say that Hall is fine. Now, he hasn't been great, but the Jacksonville matchup is really, really good for him. Whereas Neighbors has just been a floor play. And you got Tommy DeVito in there. Again, the cap is limited for Neighbors by the quarterback play. And Baltimore secondary has gotten a little bit better, and they're coming off a bye. And Neighbors is the only guy they really have to worry about. I'd give Hall the edge there. Make sure I don't be super chat here. I don't think I do, but all right, we're good there. All right, and then next one. Daniels or Tua? I have Daniels ranked higher. Daniels is a very good play, as he always is. I think Daniels has a potential to go off here. They're close. It's really more gut call area. Let me see exactly where. Let me see where I check something here real quick. I don't know where that article disappeared. I mean, I have the start sit. I can't really see it from here. Let's see here. Jay Nail's a 6 of 2. Yeah, 5 and 6. So I mean, they're right next to each other. I really don't have. And if you had a gut call there, trust your gut. If you're afraid the Commanders stick to the run, then definitely go with Tua. They both are great plays this week. Steve, you need one for the flex. Metcalf or Taylor. So Taylor is still down 3 offensive linemen. They're right. I got a super chat. I'll get that next. The right tackle is out on a personal matter, which that hurts. Braden Smith, and they're still without Ryan Kelly, their center. They didn't activate him, and they're without their right guard Will Free's been out forever. But that whole offensive line, that's why Jonathan Taylor struggled. So I have very big concerns about Jonathan Taylor against Denver. So I would play Metcalf here. Jair Alexander's out. Their slot corner's out. They're really scuffling in the secondary. I'd give Metcalf the edge. I got the super chat. I got to come back to Julian. I got 2 super chat, I think. OG Bobby. Jets or Commanders D? Started cup granny. Yeah, your opponent. Yeah, okay. So with the Jets, they really have kind of checked out. And I don't think they get up for this road game at all. I just don't see them getting up for it. And that mental part's a lot. I'd go with the Commanders. They're playing the Saints and Jake Haener. Dan Quinn has done a nice job scheming up defense. I'd give the Commanders the edge there. Andrew, Daniels or Burrow? Oh, man, that's another impossible situation. I have Joe Burrow, as you see, at number 4 and Daniels at 5. So I have them right next to each other. So to me, those are like dead even, too. I do think ultimately that passing attack has been on fire. Tennessee's pretty good against the run, and they're not going to give those receivers any issues at all. There's injuries, and they're depleted there as well. So I'm going to give Burrow the edge. But like you said, I got them right next to each other. So you see, I've got them equally valued. If Njoku plays, him or Ertz. Yeah, and everybody's out there. I got about 15 minutes till inactives drop, so we'll see what's going on with Njoku. Look, Njoku is going to consider him boom or bust because he didn't practice all week. The initial report from Mary Kay Cabot was he ain't playing, and now they're taking it to game time. Fortunately, we'll know the activity status soon. But Ertz has a much higher floor because if Njoku's really hurt, one wrong move and he's done for the day. Obviously, if Njoku plays and he's somehow miraculously healthy after not practicing all week, he could get 12 targets in this game. So if you got to go extreme boom bust, then go Njoku. But Ertz should catch you 4 passes here. There's always a 25% chance he scores a touchdown, and there's that. But that's a safe play. All right, let's see where we're at next. Andy, Jordan Addison or Tyrone Tracy. So Addison lit the Bears up for 160, and multiple touchdowns. I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 touchdowns. Can't remember that, but it was massive game. My guess is the Bears probably learned their lesson. They're probably not going to do the same level of sellout on Justin Jefferson. I still think Addison gets you in here for some big production. Tracy's a bad matchup, but Tracy does have a pretty safe floor. He's caught about 3 or 4 passes around 30-ish yards a game the last few weeks. So Tracy's floor is good. Addison doesn't have a bad floor though. And the ceiling is so much higher in my opinion. Maybe Tracy stuns us, but I just don't see it against Baltimore. That's a bad matchup. So I would say based on what we've seen, Addison's got to be the play for me. And let's see what we got here. Thomas, thank you for the kind words. Knicks or Baker? You guys know I love Baker almost every week. I lowered my rankings a quarterback 11. Chargers matchup's not good. They're so good at tackling. So the Bucks offense, they get a lot of yards after the catch, be it on the screen game. And this is a sound tackling team. And it's just hard to see Baker carving up. And I don't think there's a lot of points scored in this game. Bo Nix, I don't like we're looking at 20-mile-an-hour winds for a guy with pop gun arm, but he doesn't get asked to air it out. So I think the point guard throws will probably be there. And I think Nix could run for something in this one. Ultimately, Indy's good enough against the run where Nix probably has to throw more than they'd like. So where do I have Nix in my rankings? I got him at 16 and I got Baker at 11. Both games are lower scoring. So since Baker has Mike Evans and since Baker has the advantage of playing in Los Angeles, I'm going to give Baker according to my rankings, I'm going to give him the edge there. I'm trying to think that one through where Nix has a case, but that win does bother me a little bit. Scott, all right. You got Otten, Kraft, or Schultz. Yeah, their backup tight end is out. I can't think Brevin. Cade Stover is out. Not that really matters, but Schultz will get a couple more. So Tucker Kraft's always tough because the targets really vacillate. You never know what you're going to get. Otten's targets have gone way down since Mike Evans has come back. And I don't know that Los Angeles is actually going to be a great matchup for him specifically. Schultz, Miami is decent against a tight end, but they're nothing to be scary. But as to how many targets Schultz gets, I'd probably be inclined to go with Kraft. I think Kraft is the most likely of the three to score a touchdown. I do think that Seattle-Green Bay game has more scoring than we'd like. I would be inclined to go with Kraft in that one. Mayfield, or next, same question somebody else just asked. So, yeah, just like you heard me say, I'm giving Mayfield the edge because he has Mike Evans, and that's really it. All right, Joseph. Bigsby, Sincere McCormick, Ramondre pick 2. So McCormick's facing an Atlanta defense that's actually decent against the run. And McCormick, as you've noticed, he's done very little in the passing game. And I think this is a game where without no Max Crosby, right corner Jacorian Bennett's out, they're banged up. I think this is a game where Atlanta scores points, and they haven't scored a lot of points. And I think the Raiders are in comeback mode, which means we probably see more of Amir Abdullah and Madison in the passing game. So I'm going to go with Bigsby and Ramondre for that reason, because I think Bigsby and Ramondre have more likely volume. And then another super chat, OG Bobby, Garrett Wilson, Irving, or Swift. Swift is tough to trust. He's barely hitting 10 PPR points in a game in the last month. He might have a game that nicked that once. And Minnesota's outstanding against the run. And everybody's hurt in the league, but Swift seems maybe he's a little more banged up than most, so I don't like that. Between Garrett Wilson and Irving, I'm going to give Irving the edge. You heard me talk about it earlier. Coach Bowles wasn't going to activate him if he was worried the back could lock up again. The fact he's activating him means they're not worried about that. So I have to go with a player that's been playing at a borderline elite level. Garrett Wilson, you just don't know if their target's going to be there. Some weeks there are, some weeks there aren't. I expect a low-scoring game with them in the Jaguars, so they might not have to throw much. So I think that uncertainty is problematic. So I would give Irving the edge in this one. And I got another super chat question. Chris. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it, Chris. DFS head-to-head, Ridley or Amari Cooper? So Ridley, yeah, it's interesting with Ridley. I'm trying to think through everything. The quarterback obviously is a bit of a problem for sure, but the matchup is great. Cincinnati doesn't really cover receivers very well, and I think they're going to chase points. So I think, but they both have that situation because Cooper's facing a defense that plays a lot, like Detroit plays a lot of man, and then they blitz. Well, Josh Allen's like a beast against that, and Cooper is the best winner they're going to have in man coverage. Those corners can't really hang with him. So I would be inclined to go with Amari Cooper. Again, he had the 14 targets last week. Maybe he doesn't get that again. And I think those low target games personally were all due to the wrist injury that he had. So that would be the way I go. Still got more super chat. Davis, start 3. Jerry Jeudy, Marvin Harrison, Brian Robinson, Tony Pollard, DeAndre Hopkins, or Isaiah Davis. And we're going to rule out Isaiah Davis because Breece Hall is playing. At the best case scenario, the secondary snaps are going to be split between him and Braylon Allen. Check if any inactive. It's a little early for inactive. I don't think there's anything else. There's a possibility Hollywood Brown plays next week against the Texans. All right. Let's get back to the question now. So, all right. Jerry Jeudy to me is in. He's even better if David Njoku doesn't play. But with Winston throwing it 40 times a game, the winds are only going to be 17 miles an hour. The rain's supposed to be lighter. So I'm giving Jeudy the easy whirl there. Harrison Jr. is too tough to trust. There really hasn't been much upside, and I don't know how much they have to throw against New England. And there's a chance he sees a good number of snaps on Christian Gonzalez, so that would lower him a little bit. Otherwise, Pollard's playing on an injured ankle, but apparently he's been doing that for a while, and he's been fine. And he'll catch the ball too. So playing Cincinnati, I do like his matchup there, so I'd go with him as well. The third one, so really between Brian Robinson Jr. and Hopkins. Brian Robinson Jr. has the better chance of scoring a touchdown. Again, New Orleans is a bad run defense. And if they get a lead, they'll go to the other backs. But I still think you're playing Robinson over Hopkins. Cleveland busts coverages, but they're pretty good underneath. And that's where Hopkins sees a lot of his work. So I think Robinson has a similar floor, but I think that Robinson might have a little higher ceiling than DeAndre Hopkins. Now watch Hopkins score 2 touchdowns. Garrett, I don't see a question attached to your super chat, so I don't have one to answer. And if it's in the actual stream, there's probably hundreds of questions that I probably won't be able to find it. So I apologize greatly for that. But I won't be able to find it. The question has to get attached in the super chat. All right, let me see if I can find where I was at question-wise here. All right, I think we're on Julian. Full point PPR, London, JSN, Terry McLaurin, Tyreek Hill, Garrett Wilson. So for me, it's between London, Smith and Jigba, and Tyreek Hill. They all have excellent matchups. For Smith and Jigba, the slot corner's out for Green Bay. For London, it's either right corner Bennett's out, and London will play on the left side a lot. Also, if he moves in the slot 41% of the time, it's Nate Hobbs, who's been out for a month, and I don't know if he's playing here. Great advantages. No Max Crosby. Those two have the highest floors. Tyreek Hill is a tough one because Houston really struggles against crossers, and he runs a lot of those. So he could have like that first big game he's had in a while on that. So it's between those three. They're all pretty equal. For floor, I would probably go with London and Smith and Jigba. If I wanted to go for Hill, has a little lower floor than Smith and Jigba, but I think in this specific matchup, he has more ceiling. So if you want the ceiling play, I would go with Tyreek Hill, but I would leave London there because London sees double-digit targets in most games, and I don't think the Raiders have any answer for him. Got another super chat. Welcome back to Vinny. Kathy, you need 2 receivers, full PPR. You got Drake London, Malik Neighbors, Jalen Waddle, Josh Downs, Xavier Worthy. Yeah, you got a good roster. Again, you just heard me talking about Drake London. I am fully in on Drake London. I have him ranked very high, you see, on my receiver rankings, and rightfully so. Because, again, this is a beautiful matchup, and I don't expect Kirk Cousins to be under any pressure. And when that happens, he's a really good quarterback. Unfortunately for him, he's under pressure a lot, but not without no Max Crosby, because that pass rush has been awful without him. So that's one. The other one, I have an inclination to go Jalen Waddle, but he's risky. And he's risky because there are games where they just decide to not give him targets. But last week, to me, it looks like they turned a page. And you heard me talk earlier, the crossers against Houston. They have had no answers all year long for those. And you see Waddle when they run him out, it's crossers. And his speed, it's game-changing. So I think Waddle is your big upside play. But if you want the safest floor and you're really worried that maybe Waddle has one of those weird games where they just decide to go to Jonnu Smith all day, Josh Downs would be your other play, because he's not going to be seeing Patrick Surtain. I know there's wind in that game, so that makes Downs a little risky. But being in the slot, those are middle of the field throws. I would just start Waddle in London and call it a day if it's me. Worthy, I think he could get a deep shot here, but the volume isn't there. Neighbors, Baltimore's been a little better against the pass lately, and I think coming out of the bye, they're going to be even more improved on that. And that's the only guy they got to worry about. So for me, it would be London and Waddle. You can make a case for Downs. All right, I'm on Vinny here. Vinny, more on you as well. You need 2 of these, London, Neighbors, or Jacoby Myers. Again, as of right now, we don't know who the quarterback for the Raiders is, and I think that's important. Desmond Ridder is a buzzkill on the passing game. So I think, look, I think you just go with London and Neighbors and call it a day. If you know Aiden O'Connell is going to play, somehow we know that before Neighbors' game kicks up. But that's an early start. That game's in an hour. So if there's some like information that comes out that you see, if it's O'Connell, you can play Myers over Neighbors. Otherwise, I think you just got to go London and Neighbors. And then you got Caleb Williams or CJ Stroud. Caleb Williams has been interesting because he got big fantasy points against Minnesota. It was like in the second half. He's been bad in the first half, but garbage time's been very kind to him. And he's already seen this Minnesota defense. So I'm inclined to go with Caleb Williams here. CJ Stroud has not had ceiling games. And I know some of those games he didn't have Nico Collins, but you look back throughout the season, he doesn't have a ceiling. And Caleb's been running. And so I'm giving Caleb the edge here. Ravens or Vikings defense. So the thing with the Bears, they probably get some sacks in the first half, but that blitz doesn't always get home. And those receivers the Bears have are better than the corners they're facing. I'm going to go with the Ravens defense. Coming out of the bye, they've been fixing some things. And the Giants are, well, the Giants. And you got Tommy DeVito. DeVito's going to take some sacks here. I wouldn't be surprised if he got 6 sacks here. So I'd go with the Ravens. Let me see if we have any super chat here. Caught up there. All right. Good deal there. And I'm on Mike. Mike, good morning to you as well. You need 2 receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex from the following: A.J. Brown, Flowers, Thielen, London, or Williams. 2 running backs. And then you got Stevenson, Jonathan Taylor, or Najee. And so that means you need 2 running backs. So for your running backs, I talked about Najee earlier. I do think Najee's at a decent spot here because I think we're going to see 2 and 3 tight end sets. And I think that's going to be enough to get him space against a good Philadelphia run defense. For the second one, Stevenson is very game script dependent, and I do think he could find himself falling behind a bit in the scoreboard. So that means Stevenson could see one of those lessened volume games. Taylor's missing 3 linemen, which has really hurt him. Denver's a lighter front, and this is going to sound crazy, but because of that, I could see Taylor breaking a run or 2 to get to the second and third level. And at that point, to me, that gives him the edge over Ramondre. Got another super chat that I'll come back to Disco Dave. TJ, full PPR, Marvin Harrison or Ridley? Well, I got to go with Ridley for ceiling here. The game is probably one in which Ridley's team is trailing big. The corners are not very good he's facing, and I think they'll have to be airing it out. So I give him the edge, whereas with Marvin Harrison Jr., he hasn't had a lot of ceiling games, and he'll probably spend some snaps on Christian Gonzalez. And also, if Arizona's playing with the lead, you could see them running James Conner a lot in this one. So that's the way I would go for ceiling. That's why. All right, let's go back here. Disco Dave, you're up next. Good morning to you as well. Tight end, heavy, non-TD heavy, non-PPR. You need advice. Receiver, tight end, flex. McConkey, who we don't know if he's going, Cooper, Otten, Hockenson, Irving, McCormick. And you need a receiver, a tight end, and a flex. I'm going to give Cooper the edge here. McConkey clearly is nowhere near 100%. Cooper is getting better with that wrist. He had 14 targets this week. I love his matchup. I would go with him at receiver. At tight end, Otten's just, the targets have kind of dried up since Mike Evans came back. The Bears are not scary in terms of tight end stoppage. He went off pretty well against them last time. Again, they sold out on Jefferson. I think Hawkinson's a better player, better floor, safer floor. And then at your flex, I'm going to go Bucky Irving. I said, like, the coach said he wouldn't activate him unless he was convinced his back wouldn't lock up. So to me, that says Coach Bowles expects him to be a full go. So that case, Irving's been elite. And then Winston or Young, I got to go with Winston. Again, the wind's 17 miles an hour. That doesn't scare me. Winston's got a big arm. He throws 42 plus times a game. Chiefs are terrible against outside receivers. So that's the way we'll go. Check if there's any inactives here. It's getting real close to that time. Nothing yet. That'll be coming in the next 5 minutes. I'll be able to update you on those as those come in. I got a super chat here. Then we'll get back to Ethan. Joseph, you want to know Jacoby Myers or Romo Odunze? That's an interesting one. The Bears do like to take some shots at Odunze. And if they trail, it could be the opportunity to do that. Again, with Myers, they're both Monday night games. So here's the deal. If you'll already know, because the games are half an hour apart. If Aiden O'Connell is starting, it's Jacoby Myers. His floor is ridiculously high. If it's going to be Desmond Ridder at quarterback, then you go to Romo Odunze. I think that just is the easiest way to do it because the quarterback makes that much of a difference. Got another super chat here from Jeff. Morning to you as well. Half PPR. Smith and Jigba, Kelsey, or Irving. You have Bowers in the tight end spot. Bucky Irving's been a beast. Now, his matchup isn't the best. I will say now, because again, I'm breaking these down specifically to the question. I've talked about Irving and a number of them, but every question's different because you got Smith and Jigba up against them. Smith and Jigba has been getting a high number of targets. Green Bay slot corner is out, and that's a big advantage. And so I do think Smith and Jigba has a really high floor, and he has ceiling here as well. Irving is a very high floor. We've seen him play great for a long time, but I think it's a little lower scoring a game than usual with the Chargers. So given this, I do have Smith and Jigba a little bit ahead of Bucky Irving. Trust your gut on that when it got you this far, but I think that Smith and Jigma game is a higher scoring game with the Green Bay Seattle game, and that gives me a little bit of an edge, especially that slot corner out. Kelsey, it's just too up and down. There's no way to call that he's having, and Cleveland's been decent against tight ends. So I'm going to just leave him out because I don't think his floor is anywhere near the other two. I got another super chat question here. Lost Ingram, get Johnson. Oh man, I'm trying to think of who Johnson is. Juwan Johnson. All right. Stone Smart or Grant Calcaterra. For 1 week only, Stone Smart has a great matchup. Tampa Bay is like a bottom 3 defense against tight ends. Justin Herbert he finds the weakness, and that's going to be the weakness for him, especially if Tampa sends the blitz, which we know they're inclined to do. Juwan Johnson, it's a middling matchup against Washington, and they have Jake Haener at quarterback. I'm not quite sure what we can really expect there. Grant Calcaterra I think it's like 4 games maybe for Goddard already. 3 of them were cake matchups. He had been 8 and 10 PPR points. He had 1 match that was somewhat difficult, and I think it was like a catch for 5 yards or something. You look that one up. But Calcaterra, this matchup against Pittsburgh is not as good. So I would be inclined to go with Stone Smart for the 1 week. Rest of schedule is 2 more games. So Juwan Johnson may be rest of schedule, but this week just Smart. I think you can go stream it week by week. All right, let me see here. And I'm caught up on Super Chat. All right, see where we're at. I'm on Ethan. Let me see. I had Ethan already. Give me a second here. See where I'm at. I'm trying to find the question here. Yeah, I think I'm here on Ethan. If McConkey can't go, do you pivot to Vidal, McLaughlin, Kendre Miller, or Homer? Oh my gosh, yeah, you're in that spot, huh? Oh, I would probably say McLaughlin. He's going to get some work. His speed against Indianapolis could be helpful. Indy's a good tackling team. Kendre Miller, I mean, they're playing Washington. I think Washington gets a lead, and I might game script Miller out a little bit. It might be going to more like pass sets, and maybe that's more Kamara. Homer, I can't trust him to get any real touches against a really tough defense. And Vidal, Tampa's good against the runs. It's really hard to see anything there. Maybe McLaughlin. I have a super chat. Andrew, standard scoring. Tracy, Bigsby, Breece Hall. Again, Breece Hall was knee soreness. He practiced full on Friday. So to me, he's a banged up player, but he's not injured. He was hurt. And there's a big difference. I would play Breece Hall here because he should get some volume. Bigsby has the same game, much easier matchup than Tracy. Tracy's facing the Ravens. The Ravens are excellent against the run without dedicating extra bodies to it. So there's it. Oh, hold on. I got Ian Rappaport here. We got some David Njoku news. Let's see what we get here. I got to look this up. It's very important. So as we're answering here, David Njoku's out. And here's what I had said. And I said this on XM, I believe, on Saturday. I'm concerned that Njoku doesn't play next week. They played this thing down, gamesmanship. This puts Jerry Jeudy into the stratosphere because Winston's thrown 42 plus times as he's done every game except for the Snow Bowl game, right? So we have that. And so Elijah Moore's going to see a bump in targets. That's important to understand. All right, so let's get back to the question here. So Bigsby has an easy matchup against the Jets. Tracy has a really difficult matchup against the Ravens. Now, Tracy's going to catch some passes. He's got 3 or 4 passes, but you got standard scoring. So that kind of dings the catches for him. Bigsby is more likely in this game to score a touchdown than Tracy. Not that either are going to, but he's more likely. I'd be inclined to go Breece and Bigsby for that reason. Just Tracy just really has a bad matchup. Robert, you got half PPR, A.J. Brown, Ladd McConkey, Jeudy, and DK. So you just heard me talk about Jeudy. With Njoku out, I have no idea how many targets he's getting. 15 is on the table. 15 targets is on the table. And Trent McDuffie is not playing at a great level this year. He's playing a little above average, but Jerry Jeudy's playing at a high level. The wind 17 miles an hour for Jameis's arm, that doesn't bother me. So I'm going with Jeudy. And Ladd's hurt. And even if he plays, you've got other good options. And so to take that chance in your fantasy playoff game, if Ladd McConkey is like playing very limited, and I know guys play hurt all the time, but you got other options. Now, between DK and A.J. Brown, both have been floor plays. Neither have had much ceiling. I'm buying the narrative. Even if A.J. Brown gets 2 extra targets, and if one of those is downfield, those Pittsburgh corners really don't match up well with A.J. Brown. So I would go with Judy and A.J. Brown for that reason. I'm betting the overs on A.J. Brown's yardage. I think I had one bet. I pushed him up to like 100 yards too. I think he's having a game here because they have to understand they're going to need him in the playoffs, and they got to get this thing kind of fixed. They can this week. All right, next one, Vic, non-PPR, flex, Evans, Hall, McLaurin, Brian Thomas Jr. So you need one of them. You started Kupp and Jennings, so you're a little bit behind. All right, so I've got to go with Evans here. The Chargers play a really nice zone defense, but they really don't have any standout corners that could deal with Evans. And really, at the end of the day, Mayfield's offensive line protects him. Bosa and Khalil Mack have not been pass rushing at an extremely high level. So I think Evans gets his today. McLaurin is always, has a great opportunity. But again, if Washington gets a lead, they might not throw much. Brian Thomas Jr., again, very great player, but limited by the quarterback. Breece Hall, too many bad games this year, and he's still going to give up some work. I'm giving Evans a non-PPR the edge here. All right, and then Henry or Ferguson. I always love Henry, but his matchup, the Cardinals have been very solid against tight ends this year, whereas Ferguson's facing a Carolina defense that really can't cover the tight ends. They can't pressure. I think Ferguson has himself a game here. Schultz or Ferguson, and I'm going to continue to roll Ferguson for the matter of that matchup. His matchup is one of the better ones in the league, so I'm definitely on him this week for that reason. All right, the live questions. Let me check out inactive real quick here, see if we get anything new. Those of you that use kicker leagues, I don't. But Dustin Hopkins, Cleveland, who's been missing every field goal he attempts, it seems he's getting the day off from Cleveland playing dealer. Riley Patterson's kicking. So if you're in one of those kicker leagues, that's what it is. Nothing special inactive on the Jacksonville side. Commanders kicker Zane Gonzalez is inactive. And I don't even know. Greg Joseph is in that role. So again, I don't do kickers, but if you use kickers, I know Greg Joseph's a decent kicker, and Washington probably scores some points. There's that. Tony Pollard, as expected, is active. He's been playing through injury all year. Consider him fine. We said David Njoku is inactive. I anticipated that all along. They just made me real nervous about it. I put him on my list because I had to add him because they kept playing this game, but I put him in blue. I didn't count on him playing. Nothing interesting for the Ravens inactives. Teron Armstead of the Dolphins isn't playing. I'm not worried because they get the ball out quickly. We've already thought Breece Hall is playing. And right now, that's all the injury updates I have. I have more. I'll pass them along. All right, let's get back to our questions. I got another super chat here. Bama, good morning to you. Standard, Kamara, Bigsby, or Rashad White. So I'm going to go with Kamara here because I think against Washington's not a great defense. Jonathan Allen, they lost a defensive tackle well over a month ago, and that run defense is not great. And I don't think they have the bodies to do that six-man front that you can slow them down. But I still think Kamara gets it done, even as a receiver. I think they're going to trail. And even though you're in standard, those yards count. Kamara is the most likely this group to score a touchdown. He's the most likely this group to get 80 yards. Rashad White would normally be an excellent play. The Chargers are a great tackling team. And I think that limits yards after contact for White. Bigsby, again, week to week, you never know what you're getting. Kamara, you're getting a workload. So I would go with Kamara, and that'd be, you never know how it ends up, but I wouldn't really sweat that one. Kamara's the way to go with that. And that's the only one. Yeah, I would. But if you need them ranked, it'd be Kamara, White, then Bigsby. Make sure I have them all. Yeah, I got them all. All right. And then we get back to here now. It's just bounced me all over the place. I got to find where I'm at question-wise. I hate when this does it to me. It puts me on, and I got to find the questions. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, my gosh. Here we go. I think I found where I'm at here. Yeah, sometimes it just kicks me way down the sheet. All right, let me see here. Nope, not there yet. Thought I was there. I think I got Ethan's question, so that probably left me on Andrew. Ethan, we're going with Metcalf over Neighbors. Neighbors, the quarterback issue. And Jair Alexander's out for Green Bay. Ethan, Smart, Stranger, Pitts. Smart has the easiest matchup of the three, and I'll go with him. Look, Pitts, I just can't recommend him right now. I had to cut him from a team. That was rough. That was rough. Andrew, good morning. You're starting Barkley and Achane with Mixon and Connor in the flex. That's perfect. Charbonnet on the bench. It's really hard to sit those four guys you've got. And I love Connor's matchup. So, look, Charbonnet was amazing last week. He had like 190 scrimmage yards. But I think that those four players you have are all excellent. I mean, I think Achane does not have a good matchup this week, but I can't recommend sitting him. I think Charbonnet could outscore Achane in this one. Houston is good against receiving backs. They're good against running backs. But Achane could break off an explosive player, score multiple touchdowns. In a vacuum, Charbonnet may be a better play. I wouldn't have the guts to sit Achane in a fantasy playoff game. I would say I'm just happy I got 5 great running backs. I'd start the 4 I have who've been counted on all year and kind of go from there. Might have another super chat. Hang on. Mike. Appreciate. Oh yeah, you listen to the show with Mario. Yeah, Mario's awesome. Love working with him on Saturdays. Full point PPR. You got to sit one. Oh man, that's a tough one, right? So you got to sit one of them. The biggest boom bust in this group is Zay Flowers. They might not need him. Literally, the Giants might not be able to stop their run game at all. No Dexter Lawrence. They are a bad run defense to start. If they run, Lamar might throw 15 passes. And in that case, Flowers could get 5 targets. Giants are down 2 corners, maybe 3. I haven't seen the inactive on that one yet. It might be down 3 corners. But so Flowers has ridiculous upside, but they might not need him. So the other one that's besides that, I would play London, I play Thielen, and I am buying the A.J. Brown narrative. So I will play him. His floor is always something. So basically, funny enough, Jameson Williams might have a higher floor than Flowers. He's not a floor guy, he never is, but he's been getting targets lately. And in the shootout, he should have a higher floor. Zay Flowers could, if they decide to pass, could have a massive game. So if you want a safest play Williams over Zay. If you want the maximum upside but a little bit of risk, then I would play Zay over Williams, and I'd play the other 3. Hopefully I answered that succinctly for you. All right, let's see what we got here now. See where my question-wise. I answered on Jay-Z I'm on. All right. Good morning. You started Jennings, and you're now behind your match. You have 1 receiver spot, Hill or Evans. This one I like Hill because I mentioned earlier, Houston's defense has been very susceptible to crossing routes. It's the biggest kryptonite for them. And the Dolphins love their crossing routes. And they get the ball out quickly. Hill should, and Jalen Petrie to free safeties on IR. They have other injuries too. I think Hill could get a lot of space here. Evans, I think, is in a lower scoring game. I love Evans this week too. You heard me talk about him a couple minutes ago. I love him, but I think Tyreek Hill has more. Since you're behind, I think that's the way I would go. Both of them are great plays, and you know that. They're both great plays. If you got a gut feel, trust it. William, touchdown heavy scoring bonus. Quarterback rush TD. Receiving TD is double. Okay. With yardage, Jordan Love or Hurts? Jordan Love struggles against the blitz, and he's going to see a lot of it today, a lot of disguised looks. I'm giving Hurts the edge here. Kelsey or Jonnu Smith? I don't like that Jonnu Smith did not get a catch in regulation. He did well in overtime last week, and I wonder if they're starting to change the guard back. But Kelsey hasn't had a big ceiling. So there's that. And Cleveland's decent against tight ends. I would be inclined to go with Jonnu Smith because the ceiling's been great. Oh, wait, you got more? Yeah, DJ, and then you got Kelsey or Jonnu Smith. You got, all right, DJ Moore, Hopkins, or Watson. I'm going with DJ Moore. He had 23 PPR points against Minnesota last time they played. Those corners can't match up with him. The Bears are making an effort to get him the ball, and I think you play him. I got 2 more super chat, then I'll come back to Richard. And I got to check the injury, see if there's anything else I popped up on here too. All right, we knew that the backup tight end for Houston, Cade Stover, had an emergency appendectomy, so he's out. That might get an extra target or two to Schultz. I'm still not bullish on him. Chiefs, nothing new. We knew their left tackle, DJ Humphries, was out. The Titans are Roger McCreary, the corner is down. So, yeah, if it wasn't easy enough for Burrow, Higgins, and Chase, yeah, there's that. Obviously, you don't need me to tell you start those three guys. And nothing special from the Saints inactives. And we knew Drew Lock was not playing. All three corners for the Giants are out. Deontay Banks and Cordell Flott, the outsides, the slot corner Drew Phillips are all out. They're also out there linebacker Bobby Okereke. They're out a defensive lineman Rakeem Nunez-Roches. And we know Dexter Lawrence is done. Like I said with your Ravens, it's real simple. The passing game could go off, but they might not need it. And that's the one thing we worry about. If they come in running balance and just letting everybody have a big day, they all could go off. They could score 37 points in this game. But if they get out with the run and they're dominating, there's a chance they could just stick with it. So I'm saying, look, play your stars on the Ravens, but be careful because it's a little bit of a concern as to what will go on in this game. And again, any game could be surprisingly close. We know that. All right, let's get to the super chats here. Fan Marino, I like that. Good morning to you as well. Full PPR. You need a starting tight end with Njoku out. Juwan, Smart, Schultz. I like Smart in this one because Tampa Bay does not cover tight ends well. Both of their starting safeties are out. That's a massive deal. Justin Herbert likes the middle of the field, and it's a team to attack there. And we know they'll send the blitz. And when they send the blitz, again, the vision takes you to the middle of the field frequently. So I like Stone Smart over those choices for that reason. Fabian, you need 3. A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, Malik Neighbors, Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore sneaky in there, yeah, because, again, with no Njoku and then no Cedric Tillman, yeah, we've been looking at some targets. I'm playing A.J. Brown on the narrative. I am buying enough. I think his floor is good enough. And Metcalf, no Jair Alexander. They're going to be Keyshawn Nixon guards. Oh, my gosh, I don't even know how they slow him down. So I'm going to go Brown and Metcalf for sure. I think Elijah Moore has a higher ceiling than Neighbors because they could really get him going. Neighbors is more trustworthy for your floor play. If you want a decent floor, like 9 to 11 PPR points, then you go at Neighbors. If you need more than that, you should take the shot on Elijah Moore because the potential is that could be a high volume. Again, Winston throws 42 times a game, and he doesn't have many weapons right now, so he'll get the ball. And the Chiefs cannot stop outside receivers. Tight end, Otten, Smart, Gray, or Kincaid. I'm gonna go with Smart here. Otten doesn't get the targets as Evans has been back. Noah Gray, I know he's been wonderful, but it's been hit or miss, and the Cleveland team is good against tight ends. Kincaid, he hadn't been great. Detroit's been one of the top 2-3 teams against tight ends. I guess I'd say Kincaid is your boom bust guy. If this game gets to 60 points, everybody could eat. Kincaid is a bad matchup, but he could end up doing well. So consider him boom bust. But as funny as it sounds, I consider Smart a safer floor play. In terms of your defenses, you've got Jets, Arizona, or the Chargers. I would be inclined to go with Arizona here. I think they play with the lead. They really scheme it up where they're confusing for opposing quarterbacks. And I know that Drake May's been nice at engineering comebacks, but I think they scheme up some pressure, and I think they're able to cause some mistakes. The Jets are checked out. The Chargers, Baker's been taking care of the ball. So I'm going to go with Arizona there. Another super chat here. Silver Sacker, Neighbors, Higgins, Ray McLeod, Waddle. I'm going with Higgins. Last week his targets were down. That hasn't been the case. He's normally seeing more targets than Chase. And I look at the game logs. It's like insane. But Roger McCreary's out. They've been without L'Jarius Stevens on the IR. They don't have enough of a pass rush to bother Burrow. Not that it matters. Burrow gets it out quick. I got to go with Higgins here. I love Waddle too. I think Waddle has extreme upside, but I think Higgins has a much higher floor than Waddle, more bankable. But yeah, I think that Waddle, like I said, he could have a game but I'm very confident that Higgins has a better blend of floor and upside. Herbert or Rodgers, I got to go with Herbert here. Tampa Bay stops the run pretty well. They're very bad against pass. They're down both safeties. They have a lot of injuries. And Rodgers may not have to throw much here. He had the 300 yards last week, but he didn't have a big fantasy day. It was like one touchdown. I think that Jacksonville, New York game, I don't know that either team gets to 20 points. So I'd go with Herbert. All right. All right, let's see. We're back on the regular question. Richard, I'm on Richard here. All right, Richard. Let me just see a question on how I'm doing here. Oh, I'm fine. Am I fine? Am I fine? Am I fine? No, I am fine. I think I'm fine. We got plenty of time. So we're in good shape here. Let me scroll back down where it was. And let me check the injury update too, in case these inactives are rolling in. I want to make sure I get you guys all set up for success, guys and gals, I should say. And then we'll be on Richard in a second. Double check the... All right, let's see. We knew the left tackle for the Browns, Orlando Brown, was out. But again, we're not really worried about the pass rush of Tennessee making a difference here. We knew backup running back Raheem Blackshear wasn't playing for the Carolina Panthers. And J.C. Horn, the corner, is playing, which is important to a degree. All right, we're back to the questions here. We're in good shape here. All right, Richard, receiver in the flex PPR. You got Higgins, London, Montgomery, or Dowell. You got a good problem to have. So here's what I would do. Look, Montgomery's like nearly impossible to sit, right? Higgins to me, again, I just talked about it a minute ago. I think you got to go with Higgins. London gets double-digit targets almost every game. They had a real rough schedule. Cousins isn't going to see pressure here. So London should have a big game. The Raiders are good against the run. Now, Crosby out hurts that a little bit. Hard to sit Montgomery, though, because, man, the floor is so good, and Buffalo is not good against the run. They play nickel as their base defense, and Montgomery in the screen game is a big deal. I guess the safest play, the two safest, are London and Montgomery. Higgins has real upside here. And London has, all three of them have big upside. Dowdle, if Carolina decides to stack the box and make Dallas win through the air, which they've done that in the past, that could make it a little tougher than Dowdle than we think. Sometimes we wonder why these running backs are good matchups do badly, and that's why. Teams game plan and tries to make you beat them left-handed. So between those three, Higgins, London, and Montgomery, if it's my lineup, I'm probably going London and Montgomery. That's probably where I'm going. Biggest upside to me, London and Higgins. Make sure I got the super chat caught up. Yep, caught up. All right. All right, Big Meech, good morning to you as well. Half PPR, Waddle or Jameson. You also have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kyler or Nix. All right, so I said earlier, Houston against crossing routes is really problematic. They don't stop him. And Waddle, that's what he runs a ton of those. They both have great opportunities for big upside here. I think Waddle has a higher floor. They got him the ball last week. I think they figured it out. I think they finally figured it out through all this time. Hey, wait a minute. We got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Let's get them to sink in football. I'm going to continue to believe they're going to do that this week in a great matchup in the middle of the field. So I'm going to give Waddle the edge here. They both obviously have great upside here. All right. And then Nix or Kyler, I don't know how much Kyler has to throw here. But here's the deal. Patriots don't get a pass rush. And that's going to make it real comfortable for Kyler. So I'm going to give Kyler the edge. Nix is playing in heavier winds. He's supposed to be over 20-mile-an-hour winds. He doesn't have a big arm. That matchup doesn't work. Like Winston in 17-mile-an-hour winds, that's not an issue. Nix in 20-plus winds, I'm a little concerned. I'd give Kyler the edge. Delroy, good morning. Burrow or Goff? I got Burrow as my quarterback 4. Injuries at cornerback for Tennessee. They don't get a pass rush. Cincinnati's still alive. And Tennessee's good against the run. Goff, there's just so many potential outcomes. And he has real upside too. I think Burrow's floor is higher. And you see, I got Goff. Where do I have him at? I've got him at quarterback 9. So I got them both ranked very well. They're both in great spots. I give Burrow the edge. He's just running so hot right now. Might have a super chat before John. Let me see here. I do. Tom, I don't have a question with this. You got to, if you guys got to put questions, guys, you guys got to put questions with that because I can't identify. I'm sorry. If there's a question with it, like you said, see when I click this on, the question comes with it. I don't know how to, yeah. So I apologize. I don't see a question. I can answer it if it shows up that way. I would never be able to find it in the stream. All right, let's see where I was at. I was on John, I think. John, non-PPR, who do I like more, Wilson or McLaurin? I got to go McLaurin. He just gets it done about every week. Garrett Wilson needs these ebbs and these flows. I don't know how much scoring's in that game. I don't know how much they have to pass the ball, and that's uncertainty. Whereas McLaurin's in the same boat, but at least he's getting targets regardless. And in his matchup against Paulson, Adebo's out. They traded Lattimore a while back. I got to think McLaurin on limited target gets it done. And Garrett Wilson, there's just too much uncertainty with that whole offense. Chris, good morning. Half point, Devontae Adams or Terry McLaurin? Well, you just heard me talk about the other side, the Garrett Wilsons. I don't know how much they're going to pass, but Adams' targets have been pretty bankable. So, and I'm not talking about both sides of my mouth here, honestly. I'm not. But Adams has a more reliable target floor, and it's high. So I think that we see Adams as the higher floor play, but I don't think it's a ceiling game. I don't think it is. Jacksonville's an easy matchup, but I think it's lower scoring. I don't think it's a throw a lot. So, but how high is McLaurin's ceiling? Washington probably gets a lead. They probably don't throw a lot. Adams has a higher floor, but a similar ceiling. So I think because of the higher floor, I think I recommend Devontae. Bo or Kyler Murray? Somebody just asked that. Yeah. I'm going to go Kyler. You heard me explain that probably a minute ago. The win for Knicks and Murray probably not seeing much of a pass rush. That does it for me. Delroy, full PPR, start to McCormick, Thielen, Demario Douglas, Ray McLeod. Thielen's in. Thielen has been phenomenal. He gets targets. Great connection with Bryce Young. Second one, I know Ray's been hot, but I don't think they need him a lot in this game. Ray McLeod's had 95 yards or plus in the last two games, but it's when Kirk's under pressure, he gets it out to the middle. In this game, I don't think the Raiders know Max Crosby. I don't think he's going to have to lean on him as much. I think it's more of a Drake London game. I'm going to go with Demario Douglas here. Since McCormick doesn't see many targets, Atlanta's a pretty good run defense. I think Atlanta gets a lead. So I don't know how much usage he gets. You see his PPR totals are like very low, even though he's been playing and looking good as an NFL player. So we'll go with McCormick. I think Demario Douglas has to get fed today because they're probably going to trail. All right, I got a super chat here. Tom, got you. Thank you, Tom. Glad you re-put back here. PPR, 2 receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. You got Garrett Wilson, A.J. Brown, Khalil Shakir, Alvin Kamara, Rico Dowdle, Aaron Jones, and Buck. You got a good problem. This is very good. So you need 2 receivers out of this group. I am inclined to go with A.J. Brown and Khalil Shakir as the 2 receivers. Shakir has been very good with volume. And I think this game, obviously the over and under is like 54 on it. I think it teases 60 here to a point. So I look, there has to be enough for everybody to go around. I don't think Detroit has any ability to slow him down. A.J. Brown, I'm buying him over Wilson. Wilson's floor is always a little bit sketchy because we don't know. Adams gets more targets. If it's a low volume game, low scoring, might not get it. A.J. Brown, I'm buying the narrative a little bit. I think he gets at least a couple extra targets. Pittsburgh's a favorable matchup for him, so I'm going with them. And then you need 2 running backs out of Kamara. So we're going to go with Kamara and Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones played the Bears a couple weeks ago. I think he had about 20 fantasy points in that one. But the Bears are just bad against running backs. They have been getting worse as the season's gone on. And Jones is healthy for this one. He was earlier on the injury report, but he's off it already, which is fine. I expect high volume for him. Kamara, impossible to sit him. And I don't think Washington has the horses really to slow him down completely. And then for your last one, I would probably go with Irving as the flex. If you're nervous, I'm not nervous about his back because the coach said he wouldn't play him if he thought his back might lock up. But if you're nervous at all, then you can just pivot to Dowdle. But I think that Carolina is going to try to load the box of slow Dowdle, and they're going to try to make Dallas win the pass game. My narrative could be wrong, all right? I'm wrong a lot, but I'm right sometimes. And I would go Bucky Irving in that scenario. But if you're nervous about Irving's back at all, then just play Dowdle over Garrett Wilson and call it a day. I have a super chat here, but there's no question attached. So I'm sorry. I like you saw here, usually the questions come up attached like that. So I'm not able to find them. So I'm sorry. If you get me a question on that way, I can answer it that way for you. I apologize. All right. I got Chris already. I got Delroy. I think I'm on Brian. Breece Hall or Tracy. Tracy's been catching passes in the last few games. That's really helped him. He's found the end zone. That's been great for him. Breece Hall is an easy matchup. It was knee soreness, so I think he's okay. So I'm going to give Breece Hall the edge here. I think he gets more volume. I think he has a better chance of scoring a touchdown. I don't like what's going on this year, but I'm going to go with Breece Hall on this one. I am going to go with Winston here. Chiefs just can't cover outside, and then the wind isn't strong enough to scare me based on the weather outlook. And Winston throws 40 plus times a game. I know May's likely to trail here, but Arizona's been pretty good defensively. Jaden Reed or Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore probably gets close to 10 targets here. He has a better floor than Jaden Reed. I don't know what the ceiling is for Elijah Moore. He's a good enough player, but a lot of limitations. Reed, we know the case. He hasn't done, when he scores touchdowns, he gets you something. He had a goose egg last week, but it should be a high scoring game against Seattle. I can't tell you if their coach is going to figure out to put him on the field more. That's the problem. They don't play enough snaps. But I would say Reed is your boom bust. If you got to swing for the fence, then I would do that. But if you want the safe high floor, and it should be a pretty high floor with some ceiling, I'd go to Elijah Moore. Got some super chat questions here, and I'll come back for Mark. Chris, should you start London or oh, it's a good problem to have. Addison blows up the Bears for like 160 last time they played in multiple. It was 2 or 3 touchdowns. I can't remember if it's 2 or 3. I'm getting greedy, right? London gets double-digit targets most games. Plays about 41% of the snaps in the slot. Raiders are down a corner. Jacorian Bennett's on IR. I don't know if Nate Hobbs is playing. He missed last 4 weeks with an ankle. Had some limited practices. There's no pass rush, no Max Crosby. London's going to keep seeing targets. London is safer than Addison. Addison, we've seen, though. If the Bears go in with that same game plan to try to take out Justin Jefferson, that's why Addison went nuclear. You've got that in the back pocket. I think London had such a high floor in this game and their ceiling. It could be one of those 10 for $150 in the touchdown games. So London seems safer to me. The Bears got to they can't go with that same game plan. But I get it. If you consider Addison. I would go with London. I got London as a top 5 receiver this week. Charbonnet in the flex and Pacheco on the bench. How do you not play Charbonnet, right? He gets you 4 targets. He gets you 18 to 20 carries. It's impossible to sit him, right? So, yeah, I got to go with you on that. I mean, it's impossible to sit Charbonnet. Pacheco isn't getting the full volume. Matchup isn't the greatest. Cleveland's good against the run. All right, next, we got G6. Bucky, Keenan Allen, Jaden Reed, DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Smith, and you need to start one of them. So, Bucky and Hopkins, in my mind, have the safest floors. Now, remember, Keenan Allen went off against Minnesota a couple weeks ago. So there's that. So could it happen again? Yes, because Minnesota sends those pressure looks, but the Bears have seen them already. The corners really can't cover Keenan Allen. So Allen has probably the most upside of this group. In terms of Bucky and Hopkins, like the coach said, if we're not worried his back can't lock up, then we are going to make him active. So that means they don't think his back is going to lock up. So I'm going to go with Bucky because he's been playing out of his mind in a good way, and I'm going to trust him. So I would start him as my high floor play. If you got to go boom bust, high ceiling, and risk some maybe low floor, it'd be Keenan Allen. And then your quarterbacks, Tua or Hurts. So I've got them close in my rankings. I just find it nearly impossible to sit Hurts because there's so many ways he can get it done. Whereas with Tua, he's not going to run. If game script goes weird, there's always a way Hurts gets it done. And that's why I start him. Start 2, Najee, Rico, Tracy, or Mooney. I do think Najee is a start here. I think they're going to run a lot of 3 tight end sets, and they're going to be able to get success on the ground with him. Tracy has a tough matchup. Mooney, I don't know how much they need him in this one, but he does have a great matchup. The Raiders are down corners. The Raiders are down Max Crosby. But Rico Dowdle, and again, Carolina could sell out to stop the run, but Dowdle has had a great floor. So I'm going to say this. I would start, if you want, Najee's in. Rico would be your high floor play. I don't know what the ceiling is. If you got to go extreme boom bust, Mooney could have that game because the Raiders do not have the pass rush or the corners to stop him if he gets downfield. Start 1, A.J. Brown, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson. I'm buying the narrative with Brown. I think he gets a couple extra targets. I think he can get downfield against this Pittsburgh defense. Their corners don't match up well with him. I think the offensive line is able to withstand the pressure. I'm giving A.J. Brown the edge here. Super chat, Fabian, started Cup. Pollard, Smith and Jigba, Hopkins, or Waddle. I think the best blend of floor and ceiling is Smith and Jigba. Slot corner for the Packers is out. Smith and Jigba has been on fire. The game is probably fairly high scoring. So I think Smith and Jigba has the highest floor of this group, and I think his ceiling matches that of Waddle. I love Waddle's matchup against Houston because they don't stop crossers. I don't keep Hopkins in this group because you're counting on a couple short touchdowns, and I don't know if that happens. Cleveland bust coverages, but it's usually the underneath stuff. They're pretty decent against that. Pollard, look, always like Pollard, but they probably have game script working against them in this one. So I would be more inclined to go with Smith and Jigba. And now if you need more than one, I would order them Smith and Jigba, Waddle. Well, Smith and Jigba 1. Second would be Pollard for floor, Waddle for boom bust. That's how I'd say it. That's how I would say it. I assume you need one, though, so we're good. And then Sammy, Muth, or Ertz. So I don't know how much Washington has to throw here. So it gets me a little nervous on Ertz because he's very volume dependent. Freiermuth has been getting done without a lot of volume, but with no George Pickens. They line up Freiermuth about 20% of the time outside. I think that number goes up a little bit here. And when they move him outside, when Philly's in a zone, I think Muth is in a good spot body-wise to be able to do some damage here. I think he may be able to replicate that 7-target game he had a couple weeks ago. It's a narrative a bit, but I think they're going to have to lean on him this game. I'm going to give Freiermuth the edge. I think they have to use him here. Good question. All right, let's see where we're at question-wise here. Am I on Mark? Let me see. Yeah, all right. Morning, Mark. Point per completion and 6 point per passing. But I go with Kyler or Winston. Move Winston to 14 with upside. I have Murray at quarterback 7. Here's the thing. Winston's going to throw 40 times. He does I think, but everything but the snow game, he threw it 42 times or more. So in Kansas City, can't stop outside receivers. So with the 42 pass attempts, Kyler might only have to throw 20 times here. If they play this game to script, they run the ball down New England's throats, they get a lead, and they don't need to go pass heavy. So I'd probably be inclined to go with Winston there. All right. Oh, thank you for recommending. Hit the likes. I appreciate that. And on the X, you can always follow me at Jim Coventry NFL and RotoWire free trial. 2 days, no credit card needed. Just go to rotowire.com/Jim. Check us out. Our rankings, our articles, our tools. It's the place to be. All right. Steve. DK Metcalf or Adam Thielen? You know, it's funny. It's a good question because obviously Metcalf hasn't been doing great. He hasn't had ceiling. Man, Jair Alexander's down. They're down a slot corner. Not that really bothers Metcalf. He doesn't move in the slot a whole lot. But the fact that the secondary is so decimated for Green Bay, and they're going to have to score some points here. You know, Thielen has a great floor, and he probably catches you 6, 7 balls here. Metcalf is your boom bust play. Metcalf could go off here, but we haven't always seen the target volume. Thielen's getting targets. Most likely in this game against Dallas, he's getting targets. That offensive line should hold up. The Marvion Overshone's out. They still got Micah Parsons, obviously, but they'll hold up. And Thielen's an outlet anyway. So I think Thielen's your high floor play. I think Metcalf has a potential. He could have a game, but again, there's some downside because if Charbonnet gets going on the ground, they might not need to throw as much as we like. So Thielen's safe. Metcalf is your boom bust if you got to swing for ceiling. And let me make sure I know super chats. I don't think I do. Oh, I do. Super chat. I got to come back to you. I'll get Steve's. I'll go to super chat here. Let me see. I'll hold that here. I might have 2 there. PPR, need 2 for the week. Tracy against the Ravens, McCormick, or Jalen Warren. So Tracy's been catching a few passes a week. It's a bad matchup. Warren, the Eagles are pretty good defending receiving backs, but I really think the Steelers got to put 3 tight ends in, and they got to lean on their running backs in this one. McCormick, from a PPR standpoint, doesn't do a lot because he doesn't really catch much. And Falcons are a decent run defense. I still think Tracy's the safest. I think he's the safest there. I think he gets more receiving volume than Warren in this one because Philly does tackle well when running backs hit the ball in the open field. I'd probably be inclined to go with that. Super chat questions, then we'll come back there. All right. Sammy, you got another one. JD or Knicks, Jaden Daniels. Okay. Look, I got to go Jaden Daniels here. Even if they don't have to pass a lot, he could do it on less volume. He could run a couple big plays in the passing game. Knicks is playing at 21-mile-an-hour winds. He doesn't have a strong arm. That concerns me a bit. And it could be a lower scoring game. I don't think Indianapolis is jumping out to a lead on him. So Sean Payton might be inclined to play it close to the vest. I wouldn't you never know how it ends up, but I would go that route of Jaden Daniels. All right, next one. Who do you start? Breece Hall, Josh Downs, Waddle, or Amari Cooper? Good problem to have. So Hall should have a moderate floor. It's a good matchup for him. We know he's not 100%, but nobody is right now, right? Downs, I normally would advocate, but I don't know how much scoring Indy's doing against Denver's defense. Waddle and Amari are very interesting because they both have great matchups because Houston can't stop crossers. Amari Cooper is facing a team that plays a ton of man and they blitz, and Allen crushes the blitz, and those corners really aren't at Amari Cooper's level. So in terms of, and again, Murray had 14 targets last week, and his wrist is healthy. He hadn't been getting targets. He was injured. I would be inclined. Amari's likely in a massive shootout. So I would go with Amari. Obviously, you can make a high floor case for Breece Hall. You can make a definite case for Waddle. But Amari would be my choice because, again, with all the man coverage they play, he's a man beater. And that's what they kind of need. They need man coverage beaters. All right, let's see what we got here. Where am I at question-wise here? All right, I think I answered Steve's, and we're on Randy. Good to see you. Smart, Johnson, Noah Gray. Smart's matchup's easy. I like Smart here. I think he's the way to go. Also, we know that we're going to see Tampa dial up some blitzing, and I think to beat that blitz, you use the middle of the field, so we go that way. Commanders or Cardinals, Eagles. I'm going to go with the Commanders. Jake Hayner's a quarterback. I expect that Dan Quinn dial some little bit of confusion in the looks. I think that could give Hayner some trouble. So let me check into their injury notes. I think we're at the point where we got to do a speed round here. I've commented on most of these players. So at this point, obviously everybody would know this. Ian Rappaport reports Kenneth Walker will not play. That was a Sunday night game. We kind of knew that, but he was listed as doubtful, so he is definitely out. And again, next week to me would be in doubt. He hasn't practiced, so it's a calf injury. So we got to be very careful with those. Dallas, nothing abnormal here. Jordan Lewis, the cornerback. So they're really down on corners. So yeah. Adam Thielen's a great play this week. I got Randy. I got Randy's already, and then I got a super chat, and then we're gonna do a speed round for us to get everybody's question answered. Again, most of these players I've detailed already, so I won't be cutting you short. You would have heard the analysis already. Barry, all right. RotoWire website is amazing. Thank you. Appreciate you, Barry. Really appreciate that. No, Hunter Henry has a tougher matchup here, and look, it's like oh, man, why Austin Hooper? He won't go away. 4 targets every game for him. I don't even get it. It's like 4 straight weeks. He's had and I know you were on the bye last week. 4 straight games of 4 targets. He's eating into Henry, and Henry's still getting it done, but it's a tougher matchup for Henry. The Cardinals do well against tight ends. Stone Smart has a super easy matchup. I guess you could say Henry is a safer floor play because we know he's going to get some targets. So there's that. But Justin Herbert targets the tight end, and it's a great matchup. And they're going to blitz Tampa, and the middle of the field is going to be there for him. So I'd be inclined to say it is not crazy at all. And this matchup wouldn't be a smash spot for Henry. But ranking-wise, I got Henry higher, I'm sure, because he's Hunter Henry. And Stone Smart, I probably put Stone. Did I even put Stone Smart on here? I may not. You know what? Yeah, I put him low. I shouldn't have done that. I got to fix that ranking. I don't know why I have him there. Stone Smart should be right around number 14. With an upside tag. He'd be 14 with an upside tag. So I'm sorry about that. I don't know why I didn't make that change on there. All right. And then another super chat here. Fabian Freiermuth, Schultz, Stone Smart, or Calcaterra. It's close between Freiermuth and Stone Smart. I think the Steelers are going to have to lean on Freiermuth in this one. Smart, we've said all day, has a great matchup. In this particular case, Freiermuth's been fantasy productive in 3 of the last 4 weeks. Trust your gut on the Smart Freiermuth. I would go with Freiermuth. Schultz doesn't have enough consistency. Calcaterra only when it's an easy matchup, and this week it's not an easy matchup for him. All right, let's see. Any more super chat? Okay, all right, we'll go speed run here because we got about 30 minutes. I'll get everybody's questions answered here. All right, Brian, Harrison, Bucker. Oh, I don't do kickers. I'm sorry. Let's see. Who I start there? I don't do kickers. It's all luck, and I've got none. I'm the unluckiest person on the planet. Every year, I lead the league in points against. I got to have these dominant teams to make the playoffs. If I don't get those, I'm in trouble. Kickers, same way. Kansas City defense and Denver defense. I'd be inclined to go with the Denver defense. Windy day, Anthony Richardson, bad quarterback. Could see a pick six in our future. Andy, good morning. I would go Addison over Tracy. And again, I'm going to go fast, and he's got to do lightning round. I got everybody done now here. FFPC tight end premium, Ertz or Otten. I'm going with Ertz. He should see a floor of targets that's higher. Whichever you don't pick. And I would not play either over Jameson or Mooney. No, I would not. Randy, McCormick, McLaughlin, Isaiah, there was Elijah Moore. I would go with Elijah Moore there. If it wasn't so windy for that game for today, I would go with Downs easily. But I would give Elijah Moore the edge. I think Downs is your boom bust play. He's your boom bust play. Because if he breaks something out of the seam, he could go somewhere. Jay-Z, Standard League. Which two would I start? Hall, Shakir, Devontae Smith. I would go with Shakir and Breece Hall. Devontae's not getting the targets. Marco. All right. PPR using 3 running backs. Kyron and Jacobs locked in. Javonte, Kendra, or Justice Hill. Yeah, tough one. It's so hard to trust Javonte. I love him. He's a very good player, just not using him right. I would probably go with Kendra Miller. He's probably getting a little more into the action. He did get goal line work last week. I think he has the greatest chance of the 3 of scoring a touchdown. Jeff, good morning. Flex spot, JSN, Kelsey, or Bucky Irving. I think you may have asked that earlier. You may have asked that in the other one. We went with JSN here. Bucky's very defensible as well. JSN, I think, has more ceiling. I think they both have similar floors. Jeff, thank you so much. Appreciate that. We're going to go Breece Hall here. It's knee soreness. So to me, he's fine to go. And the fact he practiced full on Friday. McCormick I think they're going to trail, and he doesn't really get used in the passing game much. And then half point PPR, still going with Breece Hall. Lee, good morning. Yeah, listen to the XM show. I appreciate it. That means a lot, man. PPR pick 2. Keenan Allen, DK Metcalf, Aaron Jones, and Njoku is out. So we asked that one early. So that question came in early. So you're fine there. So you need 2. So I'm going to go with Aaron Jones. The Bears, I already broke. I got to do speed run. I'm sorry. Aaron Jones and DK Metcalf. Allen's close. But Metcalf is a good matchup. I got to do a speed run to get everybody done. Lee, Sutton, Addison, DJ Moore, McConkey. McConkey's dinged up enough to where I'm going to say DJ Moore and Addison. If it wasn't so windy in that game, I would have gone Sutton. Jeff, Ramondre, Breece, Bucky, full PPR. You need 1. I got to go with Bucky. He's healthy enough to play. All right. DMP, best Thielen. Thielen has the highest floor. Cooper has the highest ceiling. And Cooper may have an equivalent floor to Thielen, but Thielen has a super high floor. Cooper, I'm always partial to Cooper because, they're playing Detroit was a lot of man. He's a man beater, man coverage beater. But I would probably go Cooper. I would go Cooper, but Thielen's very defensible for high floor. Lee, pick 3. So you got Judy. You got to sit 1. Judy, Addison, London, or Thielen. Wow, that's impossible. Judy probably gets 15 targets. London probably gets 12 to 13, 14 targets. So I'm playing them. Addison, here's the deal. Thielen has a higher floor than Addison. So if you want the floor play, high floor, you play at Thielen. If you need to swing for boom bust, because there's real Addison blew up the Bears a couple weeks ago. If you want the risk floor for ceiling, then you go Addison. All right, Bama. Half PPR. Quentin John. I'm going to go with Amari Cooper. I got to do speed round here. Like I said, it's always hard for me. I always so caught up in the why. Laura and Jim Cooperman, PPR, you need 3 receivers or running back, and you need 5. All right, Metcalf's in, Cooper's in, Mooney's in. So that's 3. You need a running back. Man, I'm going to go with Tank Bigsby. His matchup's easier. And then you need 1 more flex from that group. The boom bust is Quentin Johnston. The floor play is Marvin Harrison Jr. So if you got to go safer floor, it's Marvin Harrison. The boom bust for that one is Johnston. And then I'm probably going Denver because of the wind. One more for Bama. Tight end scoring. Kraft, Otten, or Smart. Kraft is the most likely to score a touchdown. Smart is the most likely this group to have higher yardage. So Smart is a floor play. Kraft could have he has potential for ceiling. So boom bust is Kraft. If you want the floor play, it's Smart. I don't like Otten. This one, his targets have gone down. Damon, need 3 or 4. Sutton, Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore, Addison, you need 3 of them. Moore and Addison are in for me. Even though the wind is going to be an issue. Well, so here's what I'll tell you. Garrett Wilson this week might have a higher floor than Sutton because of the 20-plus mile-an-hour winds. But Sutton is your boom bust play because he has a higher ceiling than Garrett Wilson. Wilson has a higher floor. So if you want floor, go for Wilson. If you want some ceiling and risk floor, it's going to be Sutton. And then Otten or Smart. I'm going with Otten on that one. All right, then we got Rodney. Look, Charbonnet has a massive floor. He's going to probably get 20 touches in this one. CD has a great matchup, but the ceiling is a little bit problematic with Cooper Rush. Still, that said, if you're PPR, I'm going to go with CD Lamb because CD Lamb could break a play at any time. And Charbonnet matching last week, that's a problem. We're chasing that. So I'm going to go with CD Lamb. I'm going to go with CD Lamb. Eric, you're welcome. Need to start 2. Gray, Gesicki, Worthy, or Dobbs. Tight end 2.0. I'm going to go with Dobbs and Gray. Gray's your floor play. Cleveland bust coverage. So your boom bust play over Gray would be Worthy because he easily could catch a long one in this game. Would not surprise me at all, but it's risky. Otherwise, Dobbs and Gray. Dog days. Good morning to you. You need a floor. London, Mooney, Harrison, Tracy. So you need 2. London, super high floor, double-digit targets. I think Tracy has the next highest floor if you're PPR. If you're not PPR, then Mooney has the next highest floor to be both of your Falcons. I'm going with 2 on that one. Again, I got to do speed round here. I got to get everybody done. Jeff, Baker, Love, or Herbert? I got to go with Herbert here. Love his matchup. Hurts or Caleb? Hurts, he has too many different outs to get the game. Thielen over Garrett Wilson. Ferguson over Otten. Vaughn, Myers or Waddle? I don't know who's playing quarterback yet for them, so I'm going to go with Waddle. And I think the upside is there for him anyway. All right, let's see here. Whoops. Dave, pick one in the flex. Hall, Waddle, McCormick. I like Waddle here. I think he has a blend of floor and ceiling. He has more ceiling than Breece Hall has, I think. Watch Hall score 31 points now, right? Jeff, Ridley, Myers, or Brian? I'm going to go with Ridley here. I think that they're going to trail. They're going to have to throw a lot. Myers, I don't know who the quarterback is, and that's enough of a problem. I'll go with Ridley there. Matthew, Herbert, or Kyler Murray? I'm going to go with Herbert here. I think it's a safer bet he'll have to throw. KC or Baltimore D? I'm going with Baltimore. A lot of injuries on the other side for the Giants. That offensive line is banged up too. I got a super chat that I got to come back to the next one. All right, next one. Tough year. I'm sorry to hear that. Full PPR need upside thanks to Cup. Yeah, I got you. Running back and 2 flex. Breece, Warren, Bucky, Jaden Reed, and more. And you need upside. Look, I still think Bucky has upside. I know it's a tough matchup, but the coach doesn't think his back's going to lock up. He made him active, so I got to trust that. I'm going to go with Bucky. I'm going to go with DJ Moore because he's already blown up that defense. And look, Jaden Reed, I just can't count on him getting enough touches. So I'm going to go with Breece Hall. I'm just going to go with Breece Hall because he'll get volume. He'll have a chance to score. Jaden Reed, we just not playing enough snaps. All right. Let's see where we're at here. All right, I think this is where I left off. I think I answered that one already. I answered that one. Here, I found it. All right. Speed round again. We got to get rolling. I got 19 minutes. Got to get you guys all set. Guys and gals, I should say. Guys, all genders. You know that. McLaurin, Neighbors, Breece Hall. You need 2. I'm going with McLaurin and Breece Hall here. I expect that the Ravens know Neighbors the only guy who could beat them, and the quarterback issue is an issue. Sleek. Cleveland's pretty good against the run, but Pacheco should get more volume. I'm giving Pacheco the edge here. Breece has had too many down games. Foxborough News, good morning. 16-man half PPR, Murray or Goff. So at Murray ranked pretty well ahead of Goff, right? Goff at 9, Murray at 7. It's super close. You know what I'm going to say here? The higher scoring game is a Detroit game. I'm going to go with Goff. Receivers, Harrison, Valdes, Scantling, but without Carr, that's a problem. Cooks and Tim Patrick. You need 2 receivers. Of this group, I'm going to go with Harrison, and I'm going to go with Patrick. DK, Ridley, or Pollard. Because Jair Alexander's out, I'm going to go DK. Matthew, 4 quarterbacks. You got to start 2. We're going with Herbert, and we're going with Tua. Jordan, start 3. Robinson, Jones, Dowdle, Irving, and Rashad White. We're going with Jones, Irving. Man, Dowdle and Robinson are super, super close. I'm going to give Dowdle the edge because he'll catch some passes. Myers with Ritter or Jaden Reed. Oh, man, yeah, Myers should still have a floor. But it might not even be all that high. I'm going to give Jaden Reed the edge there. Danny. Yeah, I can't sit Lamar. I can't, and I know they might not have to throw. But if they do anything, he can do whatever he wants. I got to go Lamar. Bucky, Stevenson, or JSN. I'm going to go JSN. Slot corner for the Packers is out. I think they're going to have to score some points. I think we answered you already. Sean. Half PPR. We'll go Brees. If it was full, I'd go Elijah Moore. It's half. I'm going to go Brees. Kathy, Hall, Down, Stevenson, Waddle, Worthy. So for the flex, the highest floor is Brees Hall. The biggest ceiling is Waddle. Waddle's your ceiling play. So if you got to shoot for big points, I think Waddle could have a similar floor to Hall, though, because the targets last week, I think, are an indication of things to come. If it's my lineup as the playoffs, I'm going to roll with Waddle and give him the shot because they got him involved really the last couple weeks. 2 of the last 3 games, I think he has at least 9 targets. So I'm going to roll back there. Ryan, Mooney, Waddle, Tracy, Irving, pick 1 for the flex. Irving has the safest floor. Waddle has the most upside. So if you want the floor play, it's Irving. If you want the upside play, it's Waddle. Dog days. Need solid floor, non-PPR. London, Mooney, Harrison, Tracy. You need 2. London, Tracy probably has the highest floor. Mooney is boom bust for the other position. Hawkinson over Otten. Super flex. 6 points for passing touchdown. Need 2. Packers, you know what? The Packers are down cornerbacks. I'm going to go with Mahomes and Geno. I'm going to sit May in this one. Sit 1. Higgins, Lamb, Sutton. Because of the wind, I'm sitting Sutton. Jay Red, appreciate you, man. Good luck. Appreciate the nice words. It means a lot to me. Tom, Darnold, or Winston. I have Darnold ranked higher, like 8, but I have Winston with 14 with upside because Darnold just gets it done every week. So if you need the safest floor, it's Darnold. If you've got to swing for the fence, then it'd be Winston. I'm going to go with Devontae over Sincere. He doesn't get much work in receiving him, and I think they fall behind in this game. Bill. Wow. You can't go wrong here. You cannot go wrong here. I love Connor's matchup. DeMarcado's out, might get a few more snaps. Hubbard has a great matchup against Dallas, and he gets it done every week. Taylor's missing 3 offensive linemen. Charbonnet, how do you sit there last week? But if you got Connor and Hubbard, I'm going Connor or Hubbard. I'm going Connor and Hubbard. That's where I'm going. Fantasy Football 777. I might have another super chat. Let me check here. Yeah, like I said, their coaches said that if they weren't worried his back would lock up, they'd make him active. To me, that's the wording of the coach. So I'm trusting that he is. All right, let's see what we got here. We got another super chat. Jarrett. Amari Cooper and Joey Rice. Because of the quarterback uncertainty in Las Vegas, I'm going with Cooper. And again, all the man coverage Detroit plays, Cooper is excellent against man coverage. He 14 targets. I think his wrist is finally fine. I think it's a super high scoring game. I'm going with Amari. All right, see where we're at here. This always bounces me off where I was at question-wise. All right, let's see. I did that. I answered that. I had to scroll down to find this. Give me a second here. All right. Joshua, let me just check question-wise where we're at. All right, I promise this has to be speed, right? I got 14 minutes. I got to get as many as answered. Super flex, half PPR. You got to sit. Kamara, Monty, Dowdle, Charbonnet, and Stroud. Pick one to sit. Of this group, I'm going to sit Charbonnet. Ugh, tough. Navi, would you play Baltimore or Washington? Coin flip. I'd probably go Washington. Mooney, Myers, or Lamb. Going with Lamb. Irving, Warren, or McCormick. Going with Irving. We are going with McLaurin and Brees. Quincy, pick two. Going with Mixon and Dowdle. Lee, going with Cooper. Ball Maniac. Knee soreness with no concerns. No, thank you. Thank you, Ball Maniac. Quincy, two running backs. I think I just so Mixon and Dowdle, four receivers. Definitely Chase. AJ Brown will play the narrative. McLaurin, and then your fourth one, and this will sound hilarious. I'm saying this. Williams has a higher floor than Addison this week, but Addison has a higher ceiling against the Bears. So if you want to go safer, crazy as Jameson Williams. If you want to go high ceiling but maybe lower floor, Addison, I know he carved him up for 160 last time, but the Bears probably played a little different this time. Let me make sure I have those super chats here. Oh, caught up. All right. Wilson or McConkey. Look, McConkey, we don't know if he's able to play, and it's a later game, so we're going Garrett Wilson. Kyler, Tua, or Herbert. Tua and Herbert are close. They're super close. I'm probably going to go with Tua. I think Tua has a big advantage in this game. Shakir, Sutton, or Adam Thielen. Pick two. I'm sitting Sutton because of the wins out there. Rod, need two. Going to go with Downs and Keon Coleman. All right. Platinum. I think I answered you already. Andre, Mooney, Myers, or Lamb. I think I might have answered this already. Going with Lamb. Going with Irving. TD League. Braylon Allen or Brees Hall. Carlos. Evans, Wilson, A.J. Brown. Pick two. I'm going to sit Wilson. Dowdle and Kamara. I'm going to sit Dowdle. Full PPR. Tyreek, Neighbors, or Sutton. We're going with Tyreek in this one. Love the matchup. Njoku, Ferguson, or Ertz. We're going with Ferguson. You're welcome, Joshua. Going with Herbert. He's safer. Caleb may have more upside, so boom, bust, it's Caleb, but I'd go with Herbert. He has a great floor, but you need a huge upside, it's Caleb. Jay, Odunze, Hopkins, or Irving. I'm going to go with Irving. Trust that he's healthy here. Thomas, appreciate you, Thomas. I'm going with Mayfield. Nix is playing at higher winds, like 21 miles an hour. He doesn't have a strong arm. Irving or Laporta. Irving is safer. Mark, sit one. Sitting Sutton because of the wind. Abraham, good morning. Andrews or Freiermuth? I'm going to go with Andrews here. He's been running fairly hot. Freiermuth, I know the touchdowns have been there, but Andrews could have a bigger game. Going with Cousins over Nix. Need four. We're going to trust the narrative on A.J. Brown. We're going to trust Mike Evans. We're going to trust Nico Collins. And as the fourth, did I say Evans already? Yeah. We're going to go with Jameson Williams is the fourth for blend of floor and upside. Mark, Brees Hall, Ramondre Sincere. We're going with Brees Hall here. Matt, two for wide receiver. AJ Waddle, Thomas Jr. So, all right, I'm going to go with AJ Brown and Waddle. I understand Flowers is enormous upside, but they might have to pass a lot. Flex, you also need a flex. JT. Oh, all right. So you're going with AJ and Waddle. And then you're going to go, your floor play is Taylor. If you got to swing for upside, go to Flowers. Because Flowers is a huge boom bust, but the boom would be massive if he hits. All right. Tom, receiver and a flex. Shakir, Brown, Aaron Jones, Wilson, Dowdle, Kamara, and your other starters. So receiver and a flex. I would go with Aaron Jones, and I trust A.J. Brown this week. I would play Shakir over Garrett Wilson. Tracy or Downs? Man, if the wind wasn't so heavy in his game, it'd be Downs easily. I'm going to give Tracy the edge for the floor. Richie, sit one. Ridley, McLaurin, or just. Oh, I don't get what the just is. I don't get what just Cook is. You mean James Cook maybe? If I sit one of those three, it's gonna be Ridley. Walker, McCormick, Worthy. So Worthy is your ups boom bust play because the busted coverages. Your highest floor in this group is probably McCormick. I'm going with Hurts in this one. Going with Ferguson here. Sitting Sutton. I think you asked that question before. Neighbors, Flower, or Brian Thomas start 2. Floor plays are Thomas and Neighbors. If you want high ceiling, sit Neighbors and play Flowers. So boom bust, play Flowers. Richardson or Jameis. Jameis throws a ton. I'm going with Jameis. Let's see. Pick one. Warren, Coleman, Dobbs, or Leggett. I'm going to go with Dobbs here. Moore, McMillan, Devontae Smith. You need to pick 2. I'm going with Moore and Devontae Smith. I don't think McMillan repeats what he did in that one game. Cody, we're going with Herbert over Knicks. Andy, you're welcome. Harlan. We're going with Metcalf, Waddle. McConkey's not 100%. I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson on that one. If it wasn't so windy, I'd go with Downs. Going with Daniels over Goff. I'm sitting Sutton. I'm playing Cooper. I'm playing Cooper. Bucky is safer floor. I'm playing Cooper or upside. Oh man. Connor has a great matchup. I'm going to give Connor the edge for the floor ceiling combo. Pistol, you're welcome. Ball Maniac. Irving has a higher floor. Moore may have a higher ceiling. So if you need boom bust, it's Moore. If you want the floor, it's Irving. Julian, both great. I think Judy gets a few more targets. So I'm going to give Judy the edge, but it's super close. I'm going with Higgins, not close in that one. Garrett, McCormick, Thielen, McLeod, Worthy. You're going with Thielen. I'm going with Freiermuth on this one. Pick 2. What did I need? Pick 2 of the running. Pick 2. Need 1 running back. All right. Najee, Pollard, Downs, Thielen. Thielen's got to go in. I'm giving Pollard an edge over Najee. Start 2 in a flex. We are going. Pollard. We're going Mooney. Close between Devontae and Ridley, but I'm going to go with Ridley. Happy Sunday to you as well. I'm going to go with Najee in this one. I think they're going to play some 3 tight end sets. Smart. I'm going to go with Smart as an easier matchup. I think we answered it with Harris already, right? Yeah. I think we answered that already. Arthur, Lamb, I think Sutton. We're sitting Sutton. I'm going Cook over White. Isaiah Likely, Cole Kmet. I'm going to go with Stone Smart because of the easy matchup. Strange doesn't have nearly the matchup that he has. Landon, Ramondre Pacheco, Breece Hall. I'm going to go Pacheco and Breece Hall in that one. Stevenson, I think if you have a gut feeling on the pitch count, then you go with your gut. Your gut wins because you got yourself into the fantasy playoffs by your great decisions. You trust your gut. I got another super chat and I got like 4 minutes. Let's see what we got here. All right, here we go. Oh, I might have 2 of them here. Here we go. CK, pick 1 flex. Chase Brown, Kamara, London. Oh my gosh, you got an impossibly good situation. Chase Brown probably has the highest floor because he gets touches and carries and pass attempts. He's probably the best option. I love London this week, but Chase Brown has a guarantee of volume. So between London and Brown, I'm going to give Chase Brown the higher floor. Like I said, London could go off here. And then we've got Joseph, Bucky, and White. Should you play White and use Jaleel or Downs off waivers? All right. I would probably, man, the Chargers are so good at tackling. I would probably go Downs over White because they're so good at tackling. White might not have those advantages that he normally gets. And then Cousins, Geno, and Rodgers. Cousins is not going to see a pass rush this week. No Max Crosby. I'm going to go with Cousins over Bo. Bo in 21-mile-an-hour winds, that gets me a little bit concerned. So I would do that. Finisher, Bucky, Kraft, Downs, or Smart. Bucky has the highest floor, and that leans me his way because he always has a ceiling as well. All right, let me see where I'm at. Question-wise, I can find where I was at. All right. Clinton, we're going with Taylor. Flowing Air Productions, you need 2. Going with Irving and Cook. All right, where am I at here? Going with, that's very, very close. I'm going to give Baker the slight edge here. It's very close. All right. Mario. Oh, Green's upside, Red's downside, outside the ranking. It says it on the sheet. Bottom. Look at the bottom of the sheet. Great morning. Najee, Bucky, or Mondre Tracy. Going with Najee and Bucky. All right, let me just see here. Any more super chat? No, okay, we're good here. All right, I got like 2 minutes. Let's see how many I can get these through. I want to get through as many as I can here. The joke or something. I'll go with Schultz over Calcaterra. Fabian, I had to have answered it. I know I answered multiple of your questions. Fabian, if you put your question, if I didn't answer, put it at the bottom right now. I will make sure when I get out of here in 2 minutes, I scroll to the bottom and I find your question. And if I didn't answer before, I will. Going with Jameis for upside. I'm going to go with Jameis and Kyler for floor. If you want the higher floor, it's Kyler. Higher upside is there. Going with, that's super close. Judy's probably getting 15 targets. I'm going to go with Judy here. All right. And I'm out of time. So let me see here. Omar, D-Hop or Jamison Williams or Jaden Reed. Hopkins is the highest floor. Jamison Williams is your boom bust play if you want to swing for ceiling. Need 2. For floor, it's going to be Thomas Jr. and Neighbors. If you want to trade out a floor for upside, Brian Thomas Jr. and Mooney. Going with Washington defense. Going with Daniels over Goff. I think Smith and Jigba has a higher floor, so I'm going with that. I'm going with Thielen. I think I answered that one for you already. All right. If I didn't answer your question, I apologize. In future weeks, as always, the super chat's your way to get to the finish line. Let me see if Justin put something at the bottom or Fabian put something at the bottom, and he didn't. I'm sure I answered your question. Everybody, good luck this week. I wish I had more time to answer them. Again, in the future, super chat's your way to jump the line. Wish I had more time. Good luck to all, and hopefully we'll see you guys next week and get ready for more fantasy playoffs. Good luck. Have a good day.